Hi ADHDers, is it just me or do you feel like there's not enough hours in the day? You just feel like 24 hours is just not enough for you to do the things that you need to do. How about this? Do you feel like you're never able to just estimate how long something's meant to take you? Do you feel like you're always running out of time? Or how about, do you feel like no matter how you try, you're never able to arrive to things on time? You're always running late. Or sometimes you feel like you sit and you blink and think, where on earth has the day gone? Okay, so I might be able to tell you what you're dealing with, and if you have ADHD, the term is called time blindness, which many people with ADHD struggle with. Time blindness tends to refer to the inability to perceive time and struggle with the perception of time and the process of time. So some of the examples I mentioned earlier on can be associated with time blindness. If this is something you struggle with, you know that the problem was that this could lead to not being able to complete things on time, overcommitting, arriving late to meetups with friends or to important appointments. The days escaping you and with nothing to show for it could lead to issues in your friendship, relationships, also issues with prioritizing your time, which could lead to issues when it comes to work deadlines, and could also lead to issues with your performance and quality of work. And this isn't great, is it? Nope, it's not. So I'm going to spend a few minutes to talk about how to manage your time effectively as a person with ADHD struggles with time management and time blindness, essentially. And here are a few things that worked for me and for a few people with ADHD that I've had discussions with. And hopefully some of these tips will help you to recognize what you really couldn't put your finger on and hopefully help some of us manage our time a bit better. Shall we begin? As someone with ADHD, I feel like a lot of these productivity time hacks don't really work for me because I have ADHD, my brain is wired differently, operates differently, and a lot of the things I struggle with are as a result of the ADHD traits I struggle with. And I feel like that's no different with executive functioning, areas like time management and time blindness. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like I have all of the time in the world, right? I need time to sit around, to mentally prepare myself, to ease myself into it, to think about something that I'm going to do, which I should be doing, or to just, hang about because I feel like I have more time than I actually do. And that's the problem. And I would say this, my struggles with time blindness is as a result of procrastination, being easily distracted, my inability to perceive time by overestimating the time I actually have to do something. What else? Feeling restless, so I feel I need to get up and do things, which again, waste time. Saying yes to everything, so I have so many different things to juggle on my plate, not being as organized as I should be, sprinkle of anxiety, and did I mention procrastination? Yes, procrastination is a big one. So I would say all of these things that I mentioned for me are, for me, contribute to my struggles with time blindness. How about you? Maybe take a second and think, or maybe action it to say, I'm gonna sit back and have a think and take a note of why I feel like I struggle with time blindness or what contributes to it. And the reason I say to do this is because no amount of apps, quick hacks will work unless you identify and manage some of the contributing factors to time blindness. You will essentially be putting a plaster over a big hole in the wall. Does that make sense to you? How do I manage time blindness as someone with ADHD? Okay, so here are some things that worked for me and that hopefully works for you. And yes, they might seem obvious, but you never know until you try. And what did they say? God loves a trier. The first thing, especially if you're struggling to arrive to places on time, the trick is setting multiple alarms to the point that it's going to irritate you and you need to get up and make a move. So whether that's getting up and having a shower, brushing your teeth, packing your bag before that actual time you need to leave. I think the irritation, the noise and the sounds just forces me to do it. It sounds extreme, but hey, ADHD. Okay, so let's say I arrange with my friend to meet 2 weeks ahead of time at 1 o'clock. I will put in my diary that the meetup is 12:30, so I'm at least either there early or there's some buffer time between the time I get there and the time I'm actually meeting my friend. And a lot of this is important because being on time, showing up, I think it's really important. And of course, sometimes you can't help but be late, but if it's, I guess, a continuous thing, some of your friends or the people in your life might not really like it. I might have an issue with it. And I feel like if there are little things that I can do to show up on time and be there for people who are waiting on me, I'm going to do that. So how about you try that out? And like I said, sometimes it's out of your hands. And the one thing I found important that was lacking previously is communicating it. Hey, I'm going to be late. I'm so sorry. Or telling people in advance, hey, I don't think I'm going to make this time. Can we move things around or can we rearrange? Because there's nothing worse than telling your friend, hey, I'm 20 minutes away on the train. I've done that. We all done that when you haven't left your house yet and they're waiting. And I've been on the other end of that and I'm like, nope, I can't deal. So those are a few things that I use when it comes to trying to arrive to places and appointments on time. The next one, if you are struggling to complete things on time. And so one thing that has really worked for me, especially in the workplace, is if someone has asked you to do something, help out with something, ask for a deadline. It is such a pain point for me when someone says, hey, can you help me with this? Don't really have a deadline, but it would be great if you can help out with. In my mind, it's like, okay, I can do it whenever, and not having a deadline to work towards is really unhelpful for me. And so I always ask, hey, do you have a deadline? How many weeks do you need this, or how many days? So I know there's a set deadline and I work towards it. Because I found that when I was given tasks and there was no deadline, I was always racing to do it up until the last minute, which, was very anxiety inducing, or I had just missed it because there was no initial deadline. It kind of just left my brain in the way. So asking for deadlines. The next one, start things early, even if you feel like you don't need to, even if the deadline is far away. Trust me, even doing a little a day can help. Maybe writing one paragraph, and even if you don't revisit it for a couple of months, you're going to go back and you're going to feel less overwhelmed because you have something on a page that you can work with. You're not having to start from scratch. You're not having to get bogged down in fear, dread, or analysis paralysis because you have something to work with. So starting things on time, I know it seems really obvious, but trust me, the more you do it and the more you make it a habit, the more you save yourselves from the feeling of anxiety, stress, and dread from trying to do something to the last minute, which is what I do all of the time. All right, next, body doubling, which I love, is when you get together with someone, whether virtual or in person, and you just work on your own separate things. And for me, I find that having a body double kind of acts like an accountability partner. There is something motivating and encouraging about it, and you're able to just get on with things and do things. So body doubling has helped me. Another thing is using gamification method. So if you feel like you're running out of time, I love to play video games. I've always loved to play video games and I like fun. So gamifying your tasks by saying, hey, I'm going to put 20 minutes on the clock, and in this 20 minutes, I want to finish this work. I want to write 2 paragraphs or send this email, and then you race against yourself. If you're the type of person who is competitive and finds that entertaining, you will love it. And trust me, it works. Or you can use the reward system and say, hey, if I complete this, I'm going to watch another episode of this, or I'm going to treat myself to a smoothie, or I'm going to give myself this treat that I actually desire. So using gamification and the reward system. And another technique I will use is using alarms, the reminder app, a calendar, and the Pomodoro technique, which a lot of people feel like it works with them. I've used it a few times. I'm going to put the description down there. Really useful. That works for me. Again, these are just some ideas and some things that work for me. If you feel like I haven't mentioned something that has worked for you, please pop it down in the comments, because someone watching this may see it and will find it really helpful. Summarizing why managing time blindness is important for me. I do not like the stress and anxiety of constantly feeling like I'm running out of time, I'm not in control, and everything is everywhere all at once. Did you catch the reference? And I know having ADHD, sometimes that's what life is, but for me it contributes to, headaches, physically feeling down on myself. And if I can help myself by not feeling that way, by employing these hacks on how to manage ADHD and time blindness, I'm going to do that for me. Another reason why managing time blindness is important for me was because I felt like I was missing important things. It was causing a breakdown in relationships because people felt like I wasn't prioritizing them, and it just seemed like things I was not making a conscious effort to to show up, to just be on time with things. And yeah, I don't really like the feeling of disappointing people, whether that's submitting something late or saying I'm going to do something and then I don't do it, or I'm apologizing profusely. Again, these things happen. It's normal. We're human. Like, we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves. But I felt like for me, it was getting to a point where it was out of control and I needed to get myself together. I needed to gather myself. And finally, having additional responsibilities, lots of family, friends, different hobbies, meant that I needed to get things under control. Things were spiraling. I didn't really have a good handle on things. I didn't have an organizational system. There was just no concept of time, and I just felt like, okay, now I need to get myself organized in order for me to spin all of these plates and to just not lose it. So those are why managing time blindness was important for me. I hope this has been helpful. A quick whistle-stop tour on ADHD and time blindness. And yep, I hope this has been helpful. Please like, comment and subscribe. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments, or any suggestions, because us ADHDers have to help each other out. That's all from me. I'm Rach. I have ADHD combined type, and you can find me on all other socials.